Welcome to Life Through Her Eyes. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Debbie.
Welcome back. So, we are part 2 of our episode series that we got going on right now, and I'm super excited. We're going to dive right back in. So, the first point, the fact of how the media is just blatant about racial bias. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I constantly see it. And I feel like one of the ways that they really show this is when it's a missing white woman. They're focusing how she's a mom, she's a student, someone's daughter, no matter how old she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have a woman of color, then I noticed the story kind of changes the narrative where they kind of focus on her possibly criminal history or drugs or something that where it's like they're painting a negative light on anybody that's of color. Oh, hey, they're missing, but by the way, we're gonna say some crap about them too while we're at it. Do you notice those kind of differences?
Absolutely. I mean, even the subtleties in the news whenever, say, a black child commits a crime or is in the news, they'll be like, oh, criminal, thug, probably in a gang. And there's all these different words that they use, different adjectives that they use that I don't think I've ever heard them use for white boys, even when white boys will shoot up schools or they will commit heinous crimes like also shooting up movie theaters or killing
Their parents.
CEOs or their parents. Yeah, like I don't know. It is incredible to see that and to feel like there is a bigger narrative behind it. And I personally believe it's because the government is in behind like all of our media and they approve of things. And if they didn't approve, trust me, it wouldn't be on
Beyond.
TV.
Nope.
And
It
that's why
gets
you don't
canceled.
hear
It's canceled.
right. That's why I feel like you could see like a lot of news stations repeating the same exact jargon and rhetoric over and over again, like cancel
Same
DEI and
script.
all this and all that. And it's so weird because like DEI is just diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's for handicap, for women, for LGBTQ, for people of color, for different religions. Like it's people who are every kind of diversity. So basically anything other than just white males. And I feel like Trump is definitely right now on a mission to turn back time and go to the good old days again. Yeah, where white people can openly claim their throne, so to speak, in America and be like, no, we are in charge. I don't care how many you're becoming or how wealthy you guys are becoming or educated you're becoming. Even the article that we read today, the New York Times from like 2019 was talking about how the government since as early as 1945, like in politics, we don't have universal health care just because of race in America, just because our government is inherently racist. And if they gave us universal health care, then that means black and brown and Asian and any person, any immigrant who becomes an American or buys into the system and lives here is going to all get the same level of health care. That's why they love to privatize health care so that white
Yep.
people can get the best health care so that they have the best chances of thriving and surviving. They thought we were just going to die off after slavery because the sickness was going to kill us and, we weren't going to be smart enough to figure out how to survive and take care of ourselves. And lo and behold, they were not right.
No,
So,
very wrong. Actually, so wrong that what happened. We start actively doing things to make a difference, to be able to even the scales. It's just to make that playing field level.
mhm,
It's not to say, well, now we're saying like down with whitey. Like that's not
no.
what I mean. I'm sure there was some of that too. But starting the organizations was not about that. Starting organizations, and what I'm speaking about to all our viewers, the Black and Missing Foundation was founded by Derica Wilson. So she co founded this organization that helps Black and Latino families find their missing loved ones. That's what they do. That's
That's
all they
amazing.
do.
I
They
love
are
that.
not trying to say that white lives don't matter. They're just
Yeah.
saying that we matter too. Other organizations like Not Our Native Daughters, which helps
Yeah.
find Native Americans and
That's amazing.
helps their families find them because there's not enough help in mainstream media to the point where there has to be other foundations that focus on that because they're not. The co-founder of the Black and Missing Foundation, Derek Wilson, he was quoted saying, "We only want to even the playing field. It's not a Black issue. It's not a white issue. It's an American issue."
That's right.
And I just think she just like nailed it with that quote, and when we sit there and we stop looking at each other as humans and as Americans, because I mean, you can break it down. We've got North America, we've got Central America, and we got South America. Last time I checked, they're all America.
Right. So we're all American in our own right because we're in the Americas. So all of us are allowed to be proud Latinos and blacks and whites and everybody who's born here because that's how it is, you
And
know? White people aren't indigenous to that land, so to the
right,
land of America. So you can't say that you're the original people because you're not indigenous. So
right, and not to say that anybody that is white is bad.
mm-mm, not at all.
I'm half white, you're half white.
Yeah, white
But
family. Absolutely.
it's the view, right? It's the view that anyone that is not white or not visually seeing you as like someone who is white,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're not valuable, you're less than. Oh,
Right.
and that's the narrative that I'm interested in changing, that I would love to see in my lifetime, where I could sit there and feel like I watched that narrative change. I know there's been growth, but it's still a long ways away, people. Like, sadly. And if things keep going the way that things are looking,
Robots are
it's,
going to kill us. What?
it's what'd you say?
So the robots are going to kill us because they're going to realize that
Oh.
we are the virus, that we're the bad ones. We're creating all the horrible stuff. I hope that's a joke.
Yes, I feel like
No,
it's a
I
joke.
hope it is.
Anyway, yeah, we've got to make that forward momentum of change, that narrative, that desensitization, right? The thought that if you're black or brown, you're just inherently more prone to violence. Like, I don't understand the concept.
I think it's again ingrained into society through news outlets and movies and different things like that, where it's put in scenarios that black people are these criminals and these thugs and they're to not be trusted. And whether that's true or not is, I think, on a person to person basis, just like with white people or Asian people or
Mhm.
anybody else from anywhere else. We're all the human race. All humans make mistakes. Just because we're a
Exactly.
certain color skin or we are born in a certain country doesn't mean that all of us are the exact same. Like we all are individuals making our own individual choices. So
Right.
we should
Absolutely.
stop lumping people into groups so much. But it is true, and it's because it's subliminally put into society. And I mean, even my aunt, when I was talking with her once about the whole Black Lives Matter and everything, she was like, the Breonna Taylor situation was handled perfectly by cops. Like, you know, your people in your community are just like violent, you know, you're just so violent. And I was just like, shocked. I was really taken aback. Like, I can't believe that you just say,
Said
first of
that.
all, say my
Like I
community,
could.
first of
Yeah.
all, like,
Yeah.
okay, so which lets me know that they don't view me as white. They just view me as
Right.
black because my father's
Yep.
black, even though I came out of their white family member. But yeah, no, it's just it's ingrained, especially in the older society, like Donald Trump's age and older and
Mhm.
all that. That's why Donald is trying to go back to that time. He said it was like the when America was great was like the late 1870s to early 1900s, 1910 or something. I'm like, oh, so like we are basically still slaves and like there was a whole bunch of rich people and
Well,
not a lot of
they're like really,
poor
really rich white people and like
for everyone
everyone's
else.
poor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Not that
everyone
there
else.
wasn't poor white people, but
Yeah, it was
but
far less than now. Sadly, a lot of them fell into our bucket because they got kicked out. A lot of others, but that is
yeah.
society.
And I think that makes a really good point too. When people hear someone say something like "Make America Great Again," yeah, I mean, who would be opposed to making America great again? Absolutely. But then you think, like, when is he thinking was great?
What is
Because
one person's definition of great is really what I.
exactly. So there's the win. There's what is your version of great. Like, what are the details of that? Because all of that is subjective.
Yeah, and that differs from
And
person to person.
for everybody to just be so like, yes. It's like, whoa, you're saying yes to a concept that you don't even know what that is. Because that's not what they're telling you. Not at first. I feel like now some of it's starting to show, it's your boob showing. It's like it's starting to show, guys, like what your objective is. And I'm just wondering how many people are aware? Like how many see it?
I don't know. I don't know yet. We may never know. I know that when certain people are loyal, they're loyal until it hurts them personally. So we just have to wait until some of Donald Trump's actions actually affect people who voted for him in a negative way and they start hurting and they realize that their children don't have a better off chance at a future than they have right
Yeah.
now. And that's not the goal. The goal is to be able to give your kids more than
Mm,
you had and them to have a better future than you. I mean, that's
mm,
just human nature. That's what we
right.
want to do. So,
Absolutely. I I want to ask you if I don't know if you realized or not, but oddly the way you just explained that, it's strange because it was very mirroring about our domestic violence conversation. When you're just so blindly loyal. Like,
yeah.
but some are blindly loyal. Like, it's almost like you don't even see that what they're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
And you stay until you see, wow, this is wrong. And say
Right.
you have children and you're like, I don't want that for my children. So I got to go, or I don't want that for myself. Like, you don't know that until you realize and see it for yourself. You can have all your loved ones, all of them coming in and them telling you, you can't live like this, or this is terrible, you're being mistreated, you're better, but whatever have you, like, between you and that loved one. Like, sadly, that doesn't make you
Right.
see the truth. It makes you put more space because they are disagreeing with what you see.
Right.
Yeah. Until you see it. Wow. It's crazy.
Do you know, from your perspective as a woman who has endured domestic abuse, do you know if there's anything someone could have said or done in that time to help you get away? Not to convince you, but to help you.
I tend to be very, I gotta learn it for myself
Hmm.
in a lot of my
Right.
life decisions.
Right.
And I don't feel any differently with that. I don't know necessarily if that is maybe a reason why I didn't leave for so long, because I needed to learn it for myself. I know there was a lot of mind manipulating, right? Like emotionally abusive, physically abusive, mentally just changing your way of thinking. Well, having somebody tell you that no one would ever want you. You're damaged. Are you kidding me? Like, who would want to deal with you now? Like, look at everything that's happened. Like,
That's
you're
crazy.
completely broken. Like, nobody's gonna want you. You believe that, and you
Yeah.
believe you don't deserve any better. Maybe even believe that you deserved what you got. I will say I didn't necessarily believe that I deserved what I got, because, in all honesty, I didn't fight back for a really long time. Like, I just took it. Like, I started out as the, like, I just be still and just, like, maybe if I just don't fight back, it's not as bad. Because
Right.
there were times when I would try to run. Like, I wouldn't fight back. I just try to get out. I'm trying to leave,
Uh-huh.
and it was worse. It just escalated the
Yeah.
situation. And
I can
so
imagine if you hit him back, how it would
yeah,
be.
no,
Yeah.
I that was way later. I definitely got there later. It came in stages. Like, it's a vicious cycle that repeats. I tried to run, then I just tried possum, then I tried to, like, fight, and eventually what got me out was you just have to see it. I don't think anybody could have told me nothing. I don't know if anybody would have removed me, if I would have turned around and gone back. I just had to be done. I had to be.
So there's no possibility, like, if a close friend of yours took your attention more and took you out more and showed you love and showed you what good, healthy relationships looked like by putting you around more friends that were in good, healthy relationships at dinners or whatever without inviting your man. Like, would he have even allowed that? Do you think even something like that would have changed your mind, or was he like controlling your life?
Yeah, absolutely. The more time you spend away from them and around others that love you, you see what real love looks like. You see how a healthy love looks like. You see how you're supposed to be treated and like, oh
Right.
wow, like you definitely like more time away from them gives you clarity like crazy. And that's why a lot of times they are very controlling on your time. Um we only had my car. He drove me and he didn't have a job. So he drove me to and from and all that. So
You said he didn't have a job?
um for the majority of the time he didn't have a job.
When
There
he
was
was driving you to and from, did he have a job?
no, no. Um
So that was totally just a control thing then, because you couldn't drive? Did you have your license suspended? Like, what's going on?
I was able to drive, but it was my vehicle that was treated as our vehicle. So if I'm gonna be at work, he might as well be able to use the vehicle. You know.
Oh,
So he would drop me off, pick me up. I mean, technically, okay, let's put it this way. He did not have a legal job.
oh, okay. Haired,
So, uh,
haired.
so
All righty
there's that
then.
part. Yeah. Hush.
I
I'll
understand.
say it. He was a drug dealer, people. He was a
Okay,
drug dealer.
okay,
Okay.
okay, okay.
I'll be transparent. Viewers, this is me.
Viewers. I
I
was
was young.
19.
I was
Like, I was
19.
19.
I was
You're a baby.
19. Yeah, I was a baby. I can't say I didn't know better. I definitely knew better. It's just when you're in it, it is nothing like you thought before you were in it, I guess. You would think if this ever happened to me, I would react this way. Or if anybody ever, I mean, till you're there, till you're there with somebody that like you love,
Right.
like it's wild. It is wild what it does to your mind, what it does after the fact. The scars that it leaves. And I'm not just talking about physical, because oh my goodness, that documentary, whoo, you can't ask that. The
Yeah, girl.
episode with the domestic violence, oh my gosh, which by the way, public can be cruel on those questions. Holy
Oh
cow.
man, that's rude. One of the
But
questions was like, um, what did they do to you and was it really that bad?
was it really that bad? And this it's a very common question, like why didn't you leave? But like the way that they asked it on this show was like, why didn't you just leave?
Right.
Like it was just like the way
Like
they
that's the
said,
obvious,
like
easy answer. Easy way out,
like
just leave.
just
You
like
have money, you have
hello.
a way to go. Should have other
Mm,
family or friends or something,
yeah,
you
and
know.
I've actually had, you know, someone around me make the comment, and I don't think they knew, about my past. And, they had said, I just can't with those kind of women. And I was like, what kind of women? Because they were talking about somebody and I didn't even know who that person was. And they're like, yeah, I just can't with those kind of women. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of women? She's like, those that like they're in a relationship with their man and they let their man hit on them and they just stay anyway, like those kind of women. I was like, okay. Just like you don't know until you know,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't fault her for thinking that way because if you've never been in it, and especially if you've never known anybody that you care about that's ever been in it, then you like are way far detached from the
Right.
reality of what those relationships really do to people and what they
Right.
experience. And I will say, I feel like the legal system has a lot of work to still do in that area. And I do know that there's a lot of racial bias there as well, for sure.
In
And
the what system?
the legal system when it comes to
Yeah.
domestic violence.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I'm not just saying like with the laws themselves. Like I think there's still some
Like,
adjustments that need to be helping the laws, but also the officers themselves when responding to those
right.
situations, to those calls. And some of that goes back to if you don't look like them, and they if they don't feel some sort of compassion, the way they treat that situation is not okay. Like if they cannot show any kind of compassion in those moments, like
Right.
that's actually a reason why they're starting to send trained counselors out
Yeah.
to domestic disputes. Now granted, it needs to be a safe situation for everybody. So I do think the law does need to be involved. So nothing really bad happens, which brings us back to Gabby Petito.
Right.
Like had they handled that situation differently,
And instead of separating them and going, "Hey, we'll give you the van and the RV and give
just
him
let
a
them
hotel
go.
room,"
Just
you
let
put
them
him
go.
up in a hotel room and leave her in a car alone in the wilderness. Like what? It was technically her vehicle though, so I mean I think that was the right decision by the police. I'm not saying that, but I feel like they should have made sure she left and that they did not reunite. But again, I guess they can't. They
Can't.
can only do
And
so much.
even with the way that the laws are right now, if the woman doesn't want to press charges, or if the man doesn't want to press charges, or if it's a same gender situation and they don't want to press charges against each other, 9 out of 10 times the cops will just leave. They'll just make the
Yeah,
report, take the witness statements, and it's paperwork until somebody dies.
right,
And then it's something,
right.
sadly enough.
That is very sad.
I feel like there's still some to be said about the racial bias. I feel like there's just so much. And then the article, which by the way, we will include the link for that article that Deborah mentioned in the comments. And that way you can see them and see the article and read it, because there are some quotes in there that make me very, very sad.
Right. And some
I'm
laws in there that our government has passed specifically just so that black and brown people cannot get health care so that we can die off. And that's very, very, very sad as well. Like, why would you
specifically,
want to do that? Why would you want to
and
do that to us?
and the way that they state it, like even the way that they worded it, it is just so blatant. It absolutely mind blowing. So if you have a minute, even if you don't think you have a minute, if you're gonna scroll Facebook, click on this article and read it.
Absolutely.
I promise you won't be disappointed. Like I
I
was
agree.
flabbergasted. Word for the day.
Hmm.
um I could go on and on about the things that I've found and seen, and it just drives me bonkers. And, moving into discussing domestic violence. So there's so much with that. And there is not enough time in this video of this episode to include all of it. So, you know what? I think right now is a really good time. We are going to put a little pin in this,
Boop.
bringing you a little bit of extra spice part 2 here that's coming into part 3. So, join us for our next episode, please, because we are not only getting spicy, we're getting revealing. So come to the party, get to know us. Let's have some conversations and talk about some real stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We can't
Thank
wait till next
you.
time.
Bye. Have a great night. Mwah.
Bye.
Boop.